In this example, we're going to write the following fractions in order from smallest to largest. Now, in order to do that, we need to have a common denominator so that we can compare the parts out of the whole, and that's what's going to help us determine which ones are bigger and which ones are smaller. And it's hard to do that and compare these right now because they all have different denominators. So the key to this question is to find a common denominator and rewrite all of these fractions in a different form with that same denominator. So we have 7/10, 7/20, 12 over 25, and 2 over 5. So I need to find a common denominator for 10, 20, 25, and 5. So what that means is we're trying to find a number that all of these denominators will divide into evenly. So in this case, 100 will work. All of these numbers here divide evenly into 100. Okay, so we're going to rewrite all of these fractions with a denominator of 100. So in order to do that, I set this up so that we have an equivalence here with 100s in the denominators. Let's look at 7 over 20 first. In order to change 20 to 100, I have to multiply by 5. But in order to keep these fractions equivalent, I have to do the same thing to the top and the bottom. So I'm going to multiply the top by 5 as well. So I have 7 times 5, that's 35. So 7 over 20 is equivalent to 35 over 100. Let's do the next one here. If I want to change 7/10 into something out of 100, I'm going to figure out 10 times what gives me 100, that's 10. So I'm going to do the same thing to the top. So I'm going to take 7 times 10, and that's going to give me 70. So 7 out of 10 is the same as 70 out of 100. All right, let's look at the next one. I have 12 over 25, and I want to rewrite that so that it's out of 100. So in order to change the 25 into 100, I have to multiply by 4. And whenever I do that to the bottom, I have to do the same thing to the top. So I'm going to have 12 times 4, that gives me 48. Last one, 5 times 20 gives me 100. So I'm going to do the same thing on the top and take 2 times 20, which is going to give me a 40. Now, because they're all out of 100, I can compare them a lot easier. So if I have them all out of 100 pieces, this fraction here has 35 out of 100. This fraction here has 70 out of 100. This has 48 out of 100, and this has 40 out of 100. So it says we have to write it from smallest to largest. So going in order, it looks like this one here is the smallest because it's 35 out of 100 and all the other ones are bigger than 35. So I'm going to put in here not 35 out of 100. They want the original fraction. So we're going to write 7 over 20 is the first fraction. That's the smallest. That's going to go here. Then the next biggest would be, it looks like this one here. That would be 40 out of 100. So the next one would be 2/5. 40 out of 100 is the same as 2/5. That's our original fraction. So my next biggest is 2/5. Then it looks like my next biggest here is the 48 out of 100, which is the 12 out of 25. So I'm going to put that here, 12 out of 25. And then the biggest of all of them is the 7/10 because that's 70 out of 100. So I'm going to put 7/10 here. So in order to compare these fractions, or any fractions with different denominators, it makes it a lot easier if you make it all out of the same number of parts so that you can compare the numerators. And then you can put them in order from smallest to largest, or if it asks you largest to smallest, you would just reverse the order.